All right, I would like to call the meeting to order for the Nisswa Planning Commission Board of Adjustment for Wednesday, March 6, 2024. Roll call, please.
Danny Mendel.
Sean Weldon.
Josh Young.
Dave Reese.
Bethany Satterland.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
We are working off the amended agenda this evening.
Okay. And that is the Verizon Tower.
Withdrawn,
Drawn.
correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Next, to approve the meeting minutes for February 6, 2024. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Next item is an open forum. Is there anyone present tonight that would like to speak towards something not on the agenda this evening? Moving on to public hearings, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Okay. First item is variance application 004-24 to obtain a variance for an addition to an existing non-conforming dwelling and a variance for the placement of an upgraded septic within the Shoreline Residential Zoning District. Subject property is located at 26252 Edna Lake Road, PID 28030678. Applicant Roger, is it Book? Folks, okay. If you would like to come to the desk or the podium and state your name and address.
Everybody get that?
Yeah, I think we got it. Bethany, your staff report.
Thank you, Chair Young. The applicant is requesting a variance from section 2089 structure setback, table 2017 for a 77-foot setback, where 100 is required for an addition to an existing non-conforming dwelling. Also seeking a variance from section 20-90 septic system or setbacks for both OHW and side yard setbacks. The existing dwelling is located 48 feet from the OHW. The addition is proposed to be 77 feet from the OHW. The entire dwelling, the existing dwelling, is located within that 100-foot setback, and there is no way to add on to the dwelling without obtaining a variance.
Okay. Do you want to just briefly touch on what the proposed project is? And
Yeah, it's basically a bedroom addition and some remodel inside, but the addition being a bedroom, it means I got to do variance, or I mean, got to do a septic. And if there's no room, my existing drain field's actually in a easement on my neighbor's property, which is closer to the ordinary high water mark than my new one will be. And we want to do, the addition is to create a bedroom. We only have one bedroom on the first floor and a small one in the basement. And we have some stairs that are too steep for old people. So in the addition, we'll change that. And because of some health issues, I mean, I got a bad knee from the past, but my wife had COVID and pneumonia and blood clots in her lungs, and now she has pulmonary hypertension, so she has a hard time getting around, hard time getting up and down the steps. So want to do this bedroom with, you know, get 3-foot doors throughout the house pretty much, make a bathroom that we can, and a closet, a walk-in closet that can at least be converted to being, you know, accessible. I have the 3-foot doors, turnaround spaces for a wheelchair if we ever need it, shower that can have a side transfer, and stuff like that. Kind of the basic outline of it.
okay. Do we have any questions?
Quick question. So you're working with Ray Schrupp on this?
Pardon?
You're gonna work with Ray Schrupp on this?
Sorry, I can't quite understand.
Are you working with Ray Schrupp on this for
Oh,
your new well?
on the septic, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he did a design for a 3-bedroom. It could go to a 4-bedroom, and then he said he'll, would redesign it. Betsy and I talked about that, just have to make it a little bit wider,
Okay,
put more
gotcha.
drain field in.
What are you hoping for timing? Do you have to wait for road restrictions to come off? And
As soon as I can, but it's hard getting a contractor right now. I just talked to one supposed to come out Friday. He said he might be able to squeeze it in this year, but most of them are saying next year, which I gotta talk to more of them, see if I can get anything worked out that's sooner than that.
okay,
My wife would not be happy, but if I can get it done earlier, that'd be better, so.
Dave, do you have
yeah, any
questions?
questions? Dave?
Just a compliant septic design needs to be submitted, and looking at the documents submitted, there's an easement with the neighbor. Correct?
The
So-
existing one is.
Yeah,
The
is-
new one might encroach a little bit on that.
Okay,
The drawings that they show, I think the drain field, I went out and took a post hole digger and dug some holes. I think the drain field's actually a little farther west than what's shown on the drawings.
okay.
So
But the easement's gonna stay in place?
I think so, even though if I use any of it, it'll just be a few feet, but it's listed as a permanent easement, so
Okay,
I assume that could stay.
I think
And
that's a good thing, so that should keep it
Yeah.
covered.
And I can't go north of
that
my
one.
existing drain field because that's where my neighbor would have to put his drain field if he has to do a
Okay.
new stuff. The previous owner, they just sold it this spring. The previous owner says, oh, put it right north of it. I don't care. I don't use it. I said, no, I can't do that. That's for you in the future. So
Okay. Just wanted to make sure the easement's still gonna be there.
yeah, as I understand, it's a permanent easement as it's listed.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So as a part of a variance, we have to go through these questions as a board, and then we have to answer each one. You probably saw it when you saw the application. You don't have to answer anything right now, but as a board, we have to answer the questions. So it's as we go through it. So number one, is the variance in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance and the comprehensive plan? My answer would be yes.
Yes.
Is the property owner proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the city code of ordinances? The applicant answer was a house addition is the most logical location. Otherwise, it would have to be detached from the existing house, and the proposed septic upgrade is only location accessible. I think that's a reasonable
Yes.
Yes.
response. Three is a need for the variance due to circumstances unique to the property not created by the property owner. Applicant answered the yes when the OHW setback was changed to 100 feet. The left entire existing structure is in the setback. The proposed addition is in the most logical location, but a portion would be the setback. The new septic system will also be set back a bit further. This is the only remaining location for this. I would concur with that.
Agree. Yes.
Four, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Applicant answered yes, it's a residential zone area in the addition of an existing house. All properties are around us are residential homes, and this is just going to be in addition to the existing structure, which I agree with.
Yes. Agree.
Does the need for the variance involve more than economic considerations? Obviously, yes, it's based on the lot and the current structure of the building, so I would also say yes.
Agree. Yes.
And six, any other pertinent findings? I am not aware of any besides the location and of the easement for the drain field, which we kind of hashed out, so. Okay. If there's no other potential conditions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve variance application 004-24. Brittany, would you like me to add any language on the end of my motion?
Or as conditioned. Listed. Mhm.
As conditions listed.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Next item is variance application 005-24 to obtain a variance for an addition and reconstruction to an existing non-conforming dwelling and a variance to reconstruct and expand an existing non-conforming garage within the Shoreline Residential Zoning District. The subject property is located at 4243 Upper Roy Lake Road, PID 281-00617, applicant Kim Paskett and Dale Kloss. Is the applicant here? Okay, if you would like to come to the desk and state your name and address.
I'm Dale Kloss, general contractor. My address is 26873 285th Avenue, and I'll be working for Ms. Pascat at 4243 Upper Roy Lake Road.
Yep, thank you. Bethany, your staff report.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a variance from section 2089 structure setback and table 2017 for a 9.4-foot setback where 10 feet is required to reconstruct an existing non-conforming garage with an increase in sidewall height and roof pitch. Also a variance from section 2089 structure setback, table 2017 for a 61.5-foot setback where 75 feet is required for an addition to an existing non-conforming dwelling. They're also seeking to increase the roof pitch for the entire dwelling.
Okay. Would you like to give us a brief overview of the project?
Yeah, so on the garage, the detached garage, she wants to raise it up 1 foot and then put new roof trusses on because it's a pretty flat pitch on there. And we're 6 inches too close to the 10-foot setback on that. And then the house is 4 by 13, I think we're adding on. We'd like to add on to the back just to straighten the house for more family room, no bedrooms added or anything like that. And then increase the pitch on that for aesthetics look.
Okay. Do we have any questions? It's pretty self-explanatory again. Dave, did you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Then I will jump to the same thing we have to do, go through the list of questions on the variance request. Is the variance in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance and comprehensive plan? I would say yes.
Agree.
Is the property owner proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the city code of ordinances? Applicant answered the garage area will not be disturbed. House will only need to drill 1 tube for support, so it'd be minimal. So I would agree that it's yes.
Yes.
3 is a need for the variance due to circumstances unique to the property not created by the property owner. Applicant answered yes, the garage is too low for the sidewalls. The owner has big extended family and additional square foot would be greatly help with family gatherings. I'd also add that it's already non-conforming dwelling, so they really can't do anything about it. So the answer would be yes.
Yes.
Will the issuance of a variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Applicant answered the surrounding homes are lake homes and we're requesting will fit in with the current locale, which I would also agree with.
Yes.
5, does the need for the variance involve more than economic consideration? Applicant answered yes. Again, it's a non-conforming dwelling that they're adding on to that's already present, so.
Great.
And any other pertinent findings? I'm not aware of any that would be useful here, so. That's it. I will, we're not adding any other conditions, so I'll entertain a motion.
I can entertain a motion. I'll entertain a motion to approve the variance application 005-24 with the conditions.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. All right, new business, sketch plan review for Bob Johnson, PID 281-10756.
Bob, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Bob?
No, I can.
Ah,
Had a little
excellent.
technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. My name is Robert Johnson, and I guess I'm here for a sketch plan review. And I believe that Bethany has given you copies of the property that I'm looking at.
Correct.
So my thought is we have a side of Main Street that doesn't get as much foot traffic as we'd like to see. And my thought is something, initially I spoke to Bethany about a pop-up flea market type setup. Was told that's not allowed with the current planning and zoning ordinances. So we looked at temporary structures. So what this is a 30-foot by 120-foot opening between two buildings that I would like to propose temporary structures so that I can bring in vendors to sell crafts, soaps, things that they would typically sell at a farmer's market or in a boutique store. Totem Pole downtown has something similar, but it's inside. I know other places have done it inside. I haven't seen one other than a Christmas market type setup anywhere around. So this is what I have for now, just to bring it to you and see what type of response I get from planning and zoning.
I would just like to add that temporary commercial structures are allowed in our ordinance, but they are not allowed on public roads, sidewalks, those types of things. And so this is private property, and temporary structures are allowed.
Is there a time limitation as to how long they're up, or can they be up?
He would need to seek an IUP, so it would be an interim use permit. That is something that in his application or in anyone's application, you can have a set date where it terminates, or just with the cessation of business. If anything were to change to that business model or his proposed plan, that IUP would then be null and void.
Bob, what are you thinking for when you would want these? I'm assuming it's summertime, correct?
Summertime, right now I'm thinking Memorial Day to Labor Day. Possibly something in the fall when we have the barbecue challenge downtown, but I really don't know. This is all new territory for me. So not only am I looking for what your thoughts are on something like this, but guidance, suggestions, any of the above. I've looked at, temporary structures, I think is somewhat vague. Is it something that can be hauled in, set down, hauled out? Are they ones that can be taken apart but are left up year round and just utilized for 3 months in the summer? Or are they bolted together, taken apart and hauled away in pieces? So lots of different questions on how the city would like to see something like this, as well as what works best. Like I said, unknown concept. I don't know what size, or even if this will be something that people are looking for. It's really preliminary right now. I know that there are people who would like to get to downtown Nisswa, but number one, can't afford a full-on storefront, or they don't have the time to dedicate to a full-on storefront. So kind of like a business incubator even type of thought on this. So I honestly looking for all sorts of guidance and suggestions.
So would it be something that, as far as materially used, is there something that you prefer to see there? Or maybe Bethany would, is it like the tent type style deals, or is it gonna have sides on it?
Our ordinance says a temporary commercial structure or use means a structure of a temporary character, including but not limited to sell food, services, or retail. That's it. So it's incredibly vague as for what it is. It also in the portion of the ordinance does state, I will pull this up really quickly.
The one that's up there is nice.
Yeah, from an aesthetic perspective, that's great.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
dead space not being used and just
And-
people over, that's great.
I mean,
My-
it's like, so he has more guidance. Are you two open to something like this? Cause I personally, I think it's a great idea.
I do
Great
too.
idea.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that space isn't serving anybody.
Yeah.
It's the backside of the A&W building is not the most beautiful um, backdrop for anything. You know, the other side across the alley where Glenn's Ice Cream is, that actually has some appeal, and if there's a walkway and a covered area. But the backside of the A&W is kind of ugly. So it'd be partially used to camouflage that as well. My initial thought was, you know, the tents, like they have at the farmer's market, but just for durability, I couldn't leave those up all summer. I mean, all you need is a good strong wind and they'd be gone. So I'm thinking wood structures of some kind. My first preference would be not to dismantle them in the fall and take them away, just because every time you put some together and take it apart, you lose structural stability. But something that could be moved or could be rearranged if need be.
Something that falls underneath the temporary
Absolutely.
structure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
This image you got up on the screen reminds me, I was in Denver a year ago. There's in Cherry Hill, which is kind of an upscale outdoor shopping mall area. They had an area similar to this, kind of market like this, and they were supporting small little shops like you were describing, where somebody wants to sell soaps or.
That's exactly what.
This is open and airy, and everybody had, you know, mobile credit card readers, and yeah.
Exactly. There wouldn't be water usage. I wouldn't run water to it. I wouldn't run power to it. It'd be simply little kiosks where, like you said, they use square credit
Yep.
card readers and
Yeah.
a cell phone. And what I've found is when you visit these little kiosk type places, these people generate their own traffic as well. So they'll have a following, and they'll say, "Hey, we're setting up downtown Nisswa on Saturday, July 21st," and that will bring people.
Would we
So if you-
allow? Oh, sorry.
So if you have, you know, 8, 10, 12 of these, that should pull traffic to this location on this side of Main Street is my theory.
I would think that some of them would like power though, at least something.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've gone back and forth on. And you don't, you know, unless it's a nighttime market and we find out, you know, Nisswa kind of rolls up the sidewalks at 5 o'clock usually. So I don't, at least to start with, I don't see a need for lighting or anything else out there.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Like currently I have a solar generator. So I have this little cube that's 1 foot square that can power, you know, light fixture, a fan, other things for 12 to 24 hours. So I guess I would suggest if somebody wanted power in their unit, they utilize something like that. Because what I don't want is extension cords running all over the place. That's just not the look I'm going for. Or I really don't want to deal with rewiring everything out there for this. At least at this point.
So Bob, were you planning on doing it next to the ice cream shop? I couldn't tell by this one drawing here that squares.
Currently, my thought is larger, and I'm not sure here again. I don't know what size space people are going to be looking for. My initial thought was 10 by 10. I've drawn in some 10 by 12s. I've drawn in some 8 by 12s up against the A&W building, and then some smaller 6 by 6 kiosks. Maybe somebody doesn't have enough merchandise to fill a full 10 by 10 tent, and they just have maybe just soap. And so a smaller one, standalone, with I think I put a picture in there of drop down sides. But a much smaller building with open sides and like shelves, so customers wouldn't go inside; they would just shop around the outside edge.
Have
The
you
other
talked
ones
to
Go ahead.
Glenn's Ice Cream Shop at all?
I have not spoken to Glenn's Ice Cream Shop at all. I've spoken to the Old Crow Gathering, and I've spoken to A&W.
Got it.
Do you have any idea of where the water is draining in that area?
I have no idea. Yeah, it's fully
Okay.
paved. It's all paved. I don't know where it goes to. My guess is it goes into the parking lot and then down to the street.
Okay. Dave, I would like to hear what the engineer has to say.
Just brainstorming a little bit on a few things. One would be just some things to think about, like an access lane in case you needed to get a vehicle in there for some reason,
Emergency vehicle.
emergency.
Yeah.
Public health instance or something like that. And fire access, this might be something that you just want to take a look at so that, you know, maybe the fire chief might want to look at this and just weigh in a little bit. on
Okay.
Access and being able to handle a situation if it arose. And I was thinking a question about where would the vendors park? Would it be
On,
surrounding this building or?
on a location like this, again, trying to wrap my head around how the whole thing would go, I would see vendors coming up, dropping off their carts, whatever, in the morning, and then it would be street parking back behind A&W towards the elementary school, somewhere back in there, because proximity, that'll be the closest. You know, if I'm renting them out, I can dictate that I wouldn't obviously have parking there on turtle race days. Other days as well, I think that parking is more for customers in Main Street, so I can direct them further down the street.
How about like, what if a food vendor wanted to go in there? Is that a different thing where we wouldn't?
I can just tell you that there are some parameters that are detailed in our ordinance, and one of them is temporary commercial structures that and uses that include food handling shall provide the city with a copy of all required permits, inspections, and or license from the state health department and other applicable state agencies. So we would get that information as well. This is different in the sense that the IUP is for the owner of the property. And we wouldn't have those specifics. So if he's saying that he would not rent to food, he wouldn't. If there is a location that then would be outfitted to handle food, then that would need to be part of his application because he would be having artisans come in and out. So it's a little different in that way.
And I would steer clear of any type of food preparation, prepackaged. You know, like if somebody has the license to serve and sell jams and jellies at the farmer's market, then that would apply to something like this, or syrups, you know, but nothing, no preparation of food on site, and nothing that would conflict with A&W or Glenn's ice cream. So no ice cream or snow cones or things like that.
I think conceptually, it's great. I just, there again, you'd want to make sure that Glenn's ice cream that doesn't cause problems with them, even though it's probably your space there, but I don't know how he'd feel about having those along his building. I don't know.
That'd be a conversation that I can have with him.
Yeah.
Just a couple other thoughts too would be sanitation facilities. Would you have porta potties or something out there for vendors?
I wouldn't include any of that in there because the chamber office has public restrooms right there across the parking lot.
Okay. And garbage facilities?
Garbage cans. I have a dumpster on Main Street and we have dumpsters there on the property, so we just utilize those and garbage cans.
And that would need to be included in the IUP application. Adequate measures to control power, noise, and waste shall be provided is one of the parameters. Also on the parameters is the Planning and Zoning Commission may restrict temporary commercial structures and uses to ensure the preservation of the unique small town character of the city. So you guys do have a lot of say in an application like this. Mhm.
Bob, are you looking for any other specific questions from us? Or for us, rather?
Just thoughts and feedback, because my plan is if I can find and get on the schedule for a surveyor, that has to be part of the IUP application. And they're surprisingly very booked up. But my plan is to be on the April meeting, May meeting, I can't remember.
The May meeting, April meeting's deadline is already
This is,
passed.
okay, so my plan to be on the May meeting and be there in person. And at that point in time, I would have more of an idea on number of structures, locations, and all that fun stuff. Because again, I'm working around air conditioning units and windows and doors in A&W building, as well as access to Glenn's. I don't believe there's any access to inside Glenn's ice cream on that side. I think it's strictly the corner, but that's a conversation I want to have with Glenn as well. So if the concept looks like something that is unique and interesting and a possibility, then I'd probably go ahead with it and at least attempt it this year with not a full run of kiosks and buildings. I just don't think I can do it in time. And probably small, half a dozen total, 4 or 5, I don't know, and just see what interest is out there. I might find there is no interest in something like this for, put up and take down in the course of a day.
Okay. Well, I think it seems like we're all in agreement that this looks like a pretty good idea. So as long as some of the parameters that were talked about here, I think we're very open to it. So
Okay. All right. So I will reach out to Glenn next door and just see how he feels about this. And then also conversations with Bethany and maybe reach out to the fire chief as well and see if there are concerns there from his point of view on something like this.
sounds good.
Good.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Next item is the RFP for downtown master plan.
Thank you. Included in your packet is the copy of the downtown master plan. Tonight, I'm looking for a recommendation to the city council for approval so that we can get this out. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Good to me.
Yeah, I think we touched on it a little bit last time.
It's very thorough.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I don't think we have any questions. There are no questions. So we just need a recommendation.
Just a recommendation.
So I'll entertain a motion to recommend.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. The amended agenda has withdrawn the Verizon Tower location. Are they going to be coming back at some point, or is it just withdrawn indefinitely?
It's not withdrawn indefinitely. We came to a spot where there was just so much information that we couldn't give you the correct parameters as far as there's some certain properties in the parks area that are under DNR grants. And in order to have non-recreation use of the property, requires the permission from the commissioner of the DNR and possibly even federal. There were some federal grants that were also used. So the Verizon location that was approved in 2017 may or may not work at this point. But there's just so much unknown that it was rather pointless to bring the information to you and ask you to make a decision on something. So it will just be paused for a moment, but we'll hopefully have something for the April meeting.
And next item is the planning commission appointments and a reappointment of John Taylor to the planning commission.
Yes, I'm seeking, he's asked to stay on the planning commission, and I'm just seeking that you recommend to the city council approval of that.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to reappoint John Taylor to the planning commission.
Make a motion that we appoint John Taylor to the planning commission.
And
Mike not on?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye, all
Aye.
those opposed, motion carries. And then the election of a chair and vice chair.
Correct. I did hear from Gary that he is not interested in being the vice chair. However, he is very interested in staying on the planning commission, just would like to not be the vice chair.
Okay. Would either of you want to be the vice chair, or do you want to be the chair? Because I'd be fine doing something else as well.
I think we keep you the chair. Danny, want to be vice chair?
Pretty good where I'm at.
How do we do that?
Recommendation?
I'll need a recommendation, yeah.
Tonight?
If you would
Arm
like
wrestle?
to-
I
Did you want to
recommend-
arm wrestle with
I'll
him?
recommend Danny. I'll become the vice chair.
I'll second.
I thought we'd surprise John, make it a big night for him.
All those in favor? Aye. Sorry, doesn't matter what you say.
I didn't hear the all those opposed.
All those opposed? Doesn't matter.
I recommend that Josh stays chair.
Second that?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, old business, we have none. City planners report.
We've had just a few permits approved this last month. Mostly for the park, the new park that is south of town. We still don't have a name for it, so if anybody has any great names, please make sure you reach out to either Amber or myself. We're still looking for good names. But we did some shoreline alteration permits to get some trails already put in. We'll need a CUP to finish that, so you'll see that on the next month's agenda. But the driveway went in. I just issued a permit also for their vault toilet, so that's coming along quite nicely.
Is this the one that's over by Hole in the Day or something
Yep,
else?
the hole in the day one.
Okay.
Mhm, yep.
Was there a lot of fallen timber in there?
There's an awful lot. So the county, before we got it, they, did a timber harvest. And so there was a bit of mess and so there was a lot of fallen, a lot of down. There still is, so there's some cleanup and there's gonna be a lot of work on the parcel, but it's really beautiful. A lot of the trails went in. Road restrictions went in at midnight last night, so so they weren't able to compact the trail, but they've got quite a few trails back there and it's kind of exciting.
How do you reconcile the quantity of permits you're getting or being submitted with the shortage of you can hear the challenge to get a contractor to do a project?
From what I hear, it is incredibly challenging to line it up. And I know that a lot of people are struggling to get contractors,
Yeah.
especially people who are being the general contractor themselves and getting subs lined up and doing that. A lot of people have had difficulties getting even responses back. So
Just never slowed, did it?
and I don't know what to tell. As a city, I can't recommend anybody, because I get a lot of phone calls. Who do you recommend? Who do you recommend? I encourage them to reach out to the chamber. I encourage them to reach out to friends. I encourage them to, try to find good reviews that way, but we don't have a list of contractors or anything that we provide.
But year over year, the number of permits being requested is down, right?
The types of permits changed from the last couple of years. I don't have a lot of historical knowledge past the 2 years I've been here, but so the types of permits changed. The number did not.
Okay.
They went from being a lot, I think we did in 22, there was 38 dwellings and it dropped down to like 16. And I'm just pulling those numbers out of, but probably by about half.
So shifting back to
So,
like additions and things
Additions,
like that.
decks, shoreline alteration permit. So I think people are still wanting to develop and they're still wanting to do things. I think just the amount or the scope of the projects are changing.
Got it.
Any other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
So
All those in favor? Aye.
I.
All those opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned.